Welcome my students, welcome to my today's topic. Today we will be discussing on the chapter that is Information and Communication Technology Skills 2. Okay, so basically in this lesson we will cover up basic components of a computer system, then operating system, then Windows operating system, then common desktop operations, then understanding the concept of files and directories, then we will be working with files and folders, then we will be discussing on maintenance of computer, then data security and protection from viruses using antivirus. Okay, so as you know that what is operating system? So the first program that loads on a computer when we switch it on is called its operating system. So it acts as an interface between the software and computer hardware, or you can say that it is a specialized set of programs that manages the overall functioning of the computer and its resources. Okay, so you can say that an operating system is a system software that manages computer hardware by acting as an intermediary between the hardware and the user. Okay, so an operating system controls and monitors the execution of the other programs and applications also. It performs basically the basic tasks such as recognizing input from the keyboard, sending output to the monitor, managing files and directories on the storage devices. Okay, and also it controls the peripheral devices attached to it. Okay, so we can say that the operating system for mainframe computer is designed to optimize the utilization of computer hardware. So here you can see the example of operating system are Windows, then Windows 8, Linux, Ubuntu, Mac OS, Android. Okay, all these are the example of operating systems. Okay, so we can get the conclusion that an operating system is a system software that acts as an interface between the user and the computer hardware as shown here. Okay, got it. Now we will be learning about the functions of an operating system. So as you can see here, all the functions are available: memory management, process management, file management, device management, security, job scheduling or accounting, and error detection. First of all, it is processor management. An operating system manages the working of a processor by allocating various jobs to the processor that is already installed on your computer. So it also ensures that each process and application receives enough time by the processor to function properly. That is the processor management, to manage the processor. Okay, next one is memory management. Actually, operating system is also responsible to manage the sharing of the internal memory like RAM, random access memory, cache memory, okay, among the multiple applications to ensure the proper execution of every process. Okay, next one is device management. An operating system controls the working of all the inputs and output devices. Okay, so it receives the request from these devices and performs the specific tasks and communicate back to the requesting processes. Then it is file management. An operating system also keeps a track of the information regarding creation, deletion, transfer, copy, storage of files in an organized way. That means it maintains the integrity of the data stored in these files. Okay, next one very important, that is security. The next one is security. An operating system provides various techniques that ensure the integrity and confidentiality of the user's data by using username, password, and using the firewalls. Okay, next one is the job accounting, or you can say job scheduling. So in a multitasking operating system where multiple programs run at the same time, the operating system determines which applications should run in what order they should run. Also, it checks how much time should be allocated for each application. Okay, so all these are the functions of an operating system. So now we'll be going to the next topic, that is types of operating system. Here you can see there are various types of operating system available. Number one is single user operating system. This type of operating system could support only one user to do one thing at a time. Okay, example Microsoft DOS, Microsoft Windows 95. Okay, next one is graphical user interface. So graphical user interface, and in the short form we can say GUI. So this operating system is graphic based and interactive in nature. Okay, so in this type of interface we have menus and icons that are available to perform all operations by just clicking on them. So a user does not need to remember the lengthy commands or their syntax as they had to do in command line interface CLI or character user interface CUI. If you talk about some GUI, then you can say Windows operating system, Mac OS, Linux, etc. Okay. Next one is multi-user operating system. Multi-user operating system allow more than one user to use the same computer at the same time. Some of the operating systems that fall in this category are Linux, Unix and Microsoft Windows. Okay, and you should remember that the first version of Windows, that is Windows 2000. Okay, next operating system is multitasking operating system. The ability to perform more than one task at a single instant of time is called multitasking. The word is multitasking, that means multiple tasks. So an operating system that is capable of doing multiple tasks or executing processes while using common processing resources like CPU, okay, that is known as the multitasking operating system. Next one is multi-threading operating system. Here it is. Suppose you host a game server online and your friend will utilize the different parts of the same game by connecting with your machine at the same time. So here all the resources will be utilized from your machine, okay, which can be degrade the performance of your system. So this type of operating system that allow different parts of an application or program to run simultaneously. Okay, but disadvantage is that it delay the execution response of a certain processes. Okay, next one is real-time operating system or RTOS. So real-time operating system is designed to handle real-time or real-life problems. Such operating systems have the capability to prioritize the processes, minimize execution time and work independently. So whenever we click the website to book an ticket online, so we are actually communicating with a real-time machine. Got it? Next one is distributed operating system. As the word described here, distributed operating system runs on computers that are located in different geographical areas. So it is not centralized, it is distributed, okay, in various geographical areas, and all these are interconnected through a network. So it controls these interconnected systems and makes them appear to be a single computer. Okay, so here it allows all the linked machines to access the data, software and process tasks over a network of geographically dispersed computers. Okay, so all these are the various types of operating system already we have discussed about. Now we'll be discussing about Windows operating system. So Windows is an operating system developed by Microsoft, world's leading software company. So actually it provides GUI, that means graphical user interface, that makes the interaction between the computer and the user easy. So the first question is why it is called Windows. Actually Windows is called so because its interface resembles a glass window through which we can see and have different views. Okay, got it? So now if you see the windows here, you can see, so when we switch on our computer, Windows starts automatically and displays welcome screen with a login message. Okay, so it is followed by the first screen of Windows. Here is the first screen of the Windows, is known as the desktop, and here you can see it contains some graphical symbols here are known as the icons. Okay, so basically the desktop word has been derived from the real life desktop, where you may find calculator, notepad, anything. Okay, the desktop of Windows also serves the same purpose. So you can find various icons like shortcut icons, document icons, disk drive icons, okay, on your computer desktop. Next one is icons. So already we have discussed the small graphic symbols displayed on the computer screen are called icons. The user can perform all operations through these icons. So each icon has a definite program dedicated to it that runs when the icon is double click. Okay, so if we double click any icon, it starts its operation. Then the menu. In graphical user interface, menus help the user find information and execute a program function. A menu contains an organized set of options related to a particular operations. Okay, now you can see a bottom bar here. Okay, so this long horizontal bottom bar that is located bottom of the desktop is known as the taskbar. Here it is the taskbar, the bottom bar. Here you can see the start button. Here it is the start button. It is the task view button. Here at the right corner, this area is the notification area, and here it is the fig button. Okay, so here is the start button. So start button is present at the bottom left corner of the taskbar. So when we click on the start button, the list of options appears here. Okay, this list is called start menu. So we can use this start menu to perform common tasks such as starting a program, searching files and folders here, shutting down the computer here, shutting down the computers, and much more. Okay, next the section is middle section. Here this middle section, the middle section of this bar shows opened programs as buttons. Here you can add commonly used programs such as Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, MS Word, Notepad. Okay, already we have added all these programs in this middle section. Okay, so they can be opened with a single click when a program is active. Here PowerPoint is active on my computer and VLC is active on my computer. So you can see its icon is highlighted in a lighter shade with a bar below it. Okay, next is the notification area. Here is the notification area. The right side of the taskbar is known as the notification area. It includes system date and time. Here you can see system date and time, and a group of icons here available that tells the status and notifications about the programs running on a computer. For example, software updates, network connectivity, battery, speaker, volume here, okay, etc. And next is the peek button. The peek button is present on the extreme right of the taskbar. Okay, so click this button to minimize all the opened up program windows and view the desktop. Okay, got it. Okay, now we'll learn the next thing, that is managing with files and folders. So whenever it is, suppose at home or office or even your desk at school, a systematic method of storing things will always help you to save time and energy. For example, to store your clothes, you may put different types of clothes in separate drawer. If you put everything in one drawer, you will end up wasting time in finding the required dress. Okay, so storing information on your computer is similar to storing your dresses in a wardrobe in an organized manner. Okay, so in computer terminology, a file is similar to a paper sheet and a folder is similar to book. As a book contains pages, a computer folder consists of files. Windows 10 allows us to organize our files, folders and documents according to our preference. Okay, so to arrange our documents, we can store the related files in one folder. So files are basically used to store information in computers. Okay, the operating system organizes the data in an organized manner so that it becomes easy to store and find it in an easy manner. This is done by using the file system. So a file system defines the way in which files are named and where they are placed logically for storage and retrieval. For each operating system like DOS, Windows, Unix, Macintosh has its own type of file system with its own structure and logic properties of speed, security, size and kind of application, okay, etc. So most of the operating systems use hierarchical file system wherein the access to the data starts at the top and proceeds downward throughout the level of hierarchy. So the files are organized into folders known as the directories and subfolders in a tree-like structure. Okay. So the file management system is the layer of system software which is responsible for organizing and managing the storage of data. Okay. Now we will be learning how to create a new folder, how to create a new file, how to rename a file or folder, how to delete a file and folder and rest of things. So at first we will be doing creating a new folder. So at first right click on the desktop once on the blank area of the desktop. A shortcut menu appears, you can see here. Then select the new option. A list of sub options appears as shown here. Now if you want to create a folder, then click on the folder option. Here is the folder option. If you click on this, a new folder will be created and displayed on the desktop. So type a name for the folder at the cursor position and then press the enter key. Okay, so I am writing the name. Here it is, suppose computer, and then press enter key. Okay, now if we want to create a new file, we have to do the same process. Right click on the blank area of the desktop, then from the shortcut menu select the new option. Then you will get the options to create files for different types of applications such as MS Excel, MS Word, text document, WinRAR, everything. Select one that you want. Suppose I am selecting here text document. Okay, now type a name for the file. Here suppose I am writing it system. Here it is the system. Okay, and then press the enter key. A new file will be created. Okay, system, enter key, then okay, already we have done it. Now we learn how to rename a file or folder. Renaming refers to changing the existing name of a file or folder. Okay, so if you want to do this, so at first right click on the folder or file. I am choosing here the folder. Okay, here. Now after right clicking on the folder, then you will have this menu, pop-up menu. Here select the rename options here from the shortcut menu as shown here. Now type the new name that you wish to give to the folder or file and then press enter key. So here I am giving the name that is IT. Okay, now press the enter key. So already we have done it. Okay, So if you want to rename a file, so we have to do the same process again to rename a file. Okay, here just right click on the file and then click on the rename on the pop-up menu and then write the name that you used to give, then press the enter key. Okay, we have done. So we can do it by using this pop-up menu, otherwise we can do by using this PC icon. So on the taskbar you can see it is this PC icon. Here it is, this PC icon. So just click on this PC icon to open it. Here you can see. Okay, now open the location of your file and folder from the left panel. Here it is the left panel. So from this left panel you have to select the location. Suppose I am selecting the location desktop. Okay, now select the file or folder from the right panel here and click on rename command from the organize group on the home tab. So I am selecting this folder, okay, from the right panel, and then here the home tab is there, and under the home tab here is the organize group. You will have move to, copy to, delete and rename. So as we want to rename it, so just click on the rename command from the organize group here, or you can select function key F2 to rename the selected item. Okay, so if you click on this, then you have to type a new name for this. Suppose I am writing this operating system. Okay, now press the enter key. Okay, we have done it. So we can do it for the file also. At first we have to select the file, then click on the rename, then just write the new name. Suppose I am writing here technology. Okay, then press enter key. Okay, so by doing this process, by using home tab, we can rename file and folder. Okay, now we'll learn how to delete a file or folder. To delete a file or folder, we can select the file or folder that we want to delete. Suppose I am selecting this file technology. Okay, then right click on this file or folder, whatever, then you will have this pop-up menu. If you right click and select the delete option from this shortcut menu, here in the shortcut menu, all the shortcut menus are available here. So select the delete option from the shortcut menu here. Here is the delete option. So if you click on delete, then the file will be deleted, file or folder will be deleted. Okay, so at first select the file folder that you want to delete and press the delete key, then right click on the file or folder, select the delete option from the shortcut menu. Anything you can do. Okay, got it? Otherwise you can use the delete key on the keyboard directly, select the file and folder, or right click on the file or folder and then select the delete option from the shortcut menu. Okay, another method is that at first you have to select file or folder, anything at first. Suppose I am selecting this folder, then here under the organize group, under the home tab, you will have this option. So if you want to delete it, you can use shortcut key Ctrl+D, or you can just press this button. If you click on this, then the file or folder will be gone. Okay, will be deleted. So if you click on this, you can see that the file already deleted. Okay, got it? So double click on this PC icon if it is on the desktop, otherwise single click if this PC icon is on the taskbar. Then open the location of your file and folder from the left panel. From the left panel here, choose the disk drive or location, then select the file or folders from the right panel from here, then click on the delete command from the organize group on the home tab here. Okay, got it? And you can delete it. Now we will have two options under delete option. So if you select any file or folder, and if you click on the down arrow below the delete option, then you will have two options, recycle and permanently delete. Here is the recycle, and next one permanently delete. So choose recycle to send the file or folders to the recycle bin so that you can restore or permanently delete the file or folder later, or you can choose permanently delete to remove the file or folder permanently from the computer. Okay, now we'll learn about restoring a file and folders. Suppose I am deleting this file or folder, anything if you delete. Now all the deleted files or folders are moved to the recycle bin. If they are not permanently deleted, to retrieve a file or folder that you have already deleted, just double click on the recycle bin on the desktop. Here it is, the recycle bin, you can see. So just double click on the recycle bin icon. Okay, here is the recycle bin folder. Okay, select the file or folder and choose the following command from the restore group on the recycle bin tools. Okay, suppose here it is the operating system. Okay, so if we want to restore it, so then you have to click on the restore the selected item to get back the file or folder in its original location. Otherwise we can choose restore all items to get back all the deleted files and folders in their original location. So this option to restore all the items already deleted here, this option is to select the particular item and to restore it to its original location. Okay, so if I select this selected folder operating system and then click restore the selected items, it will be restored to its original location. Okay, now we'll be learning how to permanently delete a file or folder. So to permanently delete files and folders from the recycle bin, just we have to right click on the recycle bin icon here, then select the option empty recycle bin as shown here. If you click on this, then you will be asked to confirm if you want to permanently delete the files. If yes, then click on the yes. If not, then click on the no. Okay, so here the options, how can we do this? Otherwise you can directly double click on the recycle bin icon, then you will have this folder, then here you will have this option or command empty recycle bin command. So click on empty recycle bin command from the manage group. It is under the manage group here on the recycle bin tools tab. Here is the recycle bin tool tab to remove all the deleted files and folders permanently. So if you click it, then you can see all the files will be deleted after giving the confirmation message. Okay, so it is deleting. Okay, now the next thing is how to move or copy a file or folder from one drive to another. So at first I am going to this. Moving a file or folder meaning the shifting it from its original location, that means source location, to another location, that is destination. Whereas copying a file or folder means to create a duplicate copy of the selected file or folder. Okay, so to move or copy a file or folder, at first we can go for the location. Here we have already in the location. Okay, or you can see double click on the DSPC icon on the desktop, then select the location from the left pane here to choose the location where you want to move or copy the file or folder. Select any file or folder then that you want to move from the right pane. Okay, and next thing is that from the organize group, here is the organize group on the home tab. then we have to choose move to command and then select the desired location from the drop down list where you want to move the file. So suppose I am selecting this folder and here is the move to option. If you click the down arrow, you will have the all the location here. Suppose I am selecting here math, so the folder already moved to the math location or math folder. Okay, so by doing this process you can move this file or folder. Otherwise you can use the select the file or folder, then right click and you can send to the location you want here. Okay, now we learn how to copy a file or folder from one drive to another. At first choose the file or folder, then choose copy to option. Here you can see copy to command, and then select the desired location from the drop down list where you want to send this or copy this. All these locations are there. Suppose I am selecting this location extra, so we can see we have done it. Okay, so if you want to copy, then select the file or folder, then click here copy to, under the organized group the location, particular location, then the file or folder will be in this location. Okay, otherwise you can do one thing, right click on file or folder, then use the cut to move the file or folder, or copy to copy file or folder, then choose a desired location. Suppose I am choosing extra desired location and then paste it here. Okay, so already you can see that it is pasted in the extra disk drive here, D. Okay, otherwise you can use the shortcut key Ctrl+X to move, Ctrl+C to copy the selected file or folders, then press Ctrl+V to paste at the desired location where you want to move or copy the file or folders. Okay, so all these are the things we have learned about with file and folders. Now we will be learning about care and maintenance of a computer. So we know everything, computers play an important role in our lives. So you use computers for various things like shopping, paying bills, surfing internet, doing calculations, solving programming problems, etc. So it is important to take care of the computers by keeping them in good condition always. Okay, so it is essential to maintain the computer system properly on a regular basis. Okay, so maintenance of computer is the practice of keeping a computer dust and debris free, and it is also necessary to keep the components of a computer clean as it helps in their smooth functioning. Okay, so we need regular cleaning of CPU, keyboard, monitor, mouse. Okay, so computer maintenance refers to the practice of keeping computers in good condition, okay, so that it can work efficiently. So we can classify the maintenance of computer into two categories, hardware and software. So hardware maintenance refers to the maintenance of the hardware component of a computer like CPU cabinet, mouse, and any other peripheral device used with the computer. Okay, so you can ensure the proper working of the hardware components by physically cleaning them, keeping them in a proper manner, and repairing them whenever required. Now we will learn how to clean the hardware components one by one. So proper cleaning and maintenance of a computer ensures its smooth functioning. Okay, so we can follow the practices to clean various hardware components. Suppose monitor. To clean the monitor, use a soft and damp cotton cloth to clean the computer monitor. Do not spray any liquid directly on the computer screen, and also do not touch the computer screen with your hands or fingers. Okay, if you talk about keyboard, just use a compressed air soft brush or an anti-static vacuum cleaner to blow out the dust from the keyboard. And also avoid eating while working on the computer, as the food particles may enter in the gaps between keys of the keyboard and damage it. You have to be aware of it. Also, you may need to physically remove the keys of a severely dirty keyboard to clean it. Use soft damp cloth to clean the oil and dirt from the top surface of the key. Okay, and if you want to clean the mouse, if you are using the mechanical mouse, then the chances of it accumulating dust on it, on a ball that is under the mouse. You may need to open the cover of the mouse and remove the ball. Okay, and dip it in isopropyl alcohol to remove the dust, oil or grease. And if you are using the optical mouse, then simply wash the mouse from above and below with a clean cotton cloth. If you are using the CDs and DVDs, always try to keep it in their proper cases to protect them from scratches. Avoid touching the upper surface of the CD and DVD with hands, and clean the surface CDs with a special cleaning liquid. And main or next thing is CPU cabinet. So it is the vital part. So always clean the CPU cabinets from outside as well as the inside. So wash the outer surface of the CPU cabinet with soft cotton cloth. Clean the back side also of the cabinet as well. And also it is important to clean CPU cabinet from inside. Always use a blower to remove the dust, and don't touch any tiny part installed on the motherboard. Okay. So some precaution we can take to protect the computer system, like keep the computer system and its peripheral devices away from dust and moisture. Cover the computer system when not in use. Replace the faulty parts immediately. Take a regular backup of your data. Always keep software updated. Upgrade the hardware equipments with the latest technology. Completely uninstall any unwanted programs. Keep your antivirus software updated. Do not overcharge the batteries of the UPS or laptop. Avoid blocking the exhaust vents. Keep the computer system away from direct heat and magnetic field, and always shut down the computer properly. Okay. Next is we will be learning about, that is, software maintenance. So software maintenance refers to the cleaning of software installed on the computer. So software maintenance involves the scheduled disk cleanup, protection against viruses, deleting temporary and unwanted files, okay, and taking regular backups and updating software and checking for any security risks. Okay, so all these are the parts of software maintenance. So it ensures the safety of data from unauthorized users. Okay, so we can say that data security is essential in software maintenance, as it is the process of ensuring integrity, availability and confidentiality of a computer data and resources against various types of threats, okay, such as unauthorized access, viruses, bugs. Okay, so computers and data have become the lifeline of any organization. So if something goes wrong with computers or the data, so everything comes to a standstill, causing a loss of several hours of hard work and research. So a computer virus is a program or a set of programs that disrupts the normal operation of a computer. Okay, as virus infects or destroys the data, it enters the computer without the permission or knowledge of the user. So normally it enters through infected storage device like CD, pen drive, okay, or it can enter in the computer while surfing the internet. To avoid the detection, they are secretly hidden, so virus programs can remain undetected and inactive for a long period of time. Okay, So we have to update our antivirus system. So if you talk about the signs of virus attack, what will be? So a virus can cause problems in our computer in many ways. We have to aware of all this. It increases the use of disk space and growth in full size. Okay. It reduces the speed of computer. It causes strange movement or pattern on the screen. It displays unusual messages like your PC is stoned. It shows abnormal write protected error like type messages. It leads to frequent hanging of the system. It deletes or damages the file. It displays a change in data against the file name in the directory, and it reformats the hard disks. So we have to aware all of these signs of virus attack. So what should we need to protect against virus? Actually, virus attacks not only lead to data confidentiality loss, but they also affect the way in which our computer system functions. Okay. So some of the other harmful effects of malware attacks frequently. So at first, we have to install reliable antivirus software, and the software should be regularly updated. Okay. Restricting access to unwanted sites through appropriate settings in the browsers. Okay. And also use only secure sites when we use for financial transaction and or other personal information on any website. So installation and download from unauthorized sources should be avoided. Keep your application and operating system updated at all times. Avoid the mails coming from unwanted or unwarranted sources. Do not read or download. Delete all this before reading or downloading. And don't click any attachment in such mails. Okay. Taking backups regularly in a good practice. Okay, is a good practice. Got it? And scan all the portable storage devices like pen drive, CD, DVD. Okay, because all these are the common sources of infection in computers. And for safety of your personal information, you must disable cookies in your browser. Okay. By doing all this thing, you can maintain the software in your computer. Now we're learning about antivirus software. Antivirus software are computer programs that are designed to identify, prevent, and remove viruses from a computer. They perform the tasks in a computer like scan the computer files to look for known viruses, matching definitions from the virus directory, or identify suspicious behavior from any computer program that might indicate infection. Okay, so antivirus software is used basically to identify, prevent, and take action against malicious software such as viruses, worms by activating, that means deactivating, activating the antivirus, that means deactivating or deleting the virus. Okay, so it is recommended to purchase a genuine copy of antivirus software as it includes future support for computer. Okay, so simply install an antivirus software in your computer and update it regularly. Okay, so here you can see some popular antivirus programs are available: McAfee, AVG, Norton, Avast, Nord32, okay, Avira. So just use any one among all of these and update it regularly. Now we'll learn about Quick Heal Total Security. So suppose you are using Quick Heal software here. To open Quick Heal antivirus software, just click on Start. Then you will have Quick Heal Total Security. So you can see here it is the Quick Heal Total Security window appears as shown here. Then if you want to scan, then click on the scan option here. A pop-up menu appears with some options here. If you want to scan any particular file or folder, select custom scan option. If you want to scan whole computer, select full system scan option. Okay, now you can see the scanning process begins by showing the status and action as the scan proceeds. So if viruses are found, the antivirus will inform the same to the user, and either it will be deleted or it will be stored in a location where it cannot affect the system. Now also you can pause, resume, stop the scan at any time. When the process gets over, the message scan finished is displayed. Now we'll be talking about some more options of Quick Heal Total Security. We can configure the protection setting for files and folders in our system through File and Folders option. Here we can configure the protection setting for files and folders in our system through this option. We can also use the emails. With this option we can configure the protection rules for all incoming emails. Okay, these rules include blocking infected attachments in the emails. If you use this option, Internet and Network, these features allows us to set the protection rules to protect from the malicious file, okay, during the online activities such as banking, shopping, surfing the net. Okay, next one is parental control. It is very effective method to control the internet, application and computer access for the children and other users. These features enables us and ensures that the children do not visit websites that are unsuitable for them and can only access the permitted sites so that they are safe from any threats. So guardians or parents can also limit the access to the computer and the internet on a day and time basis. Okay, next, whenever your system comes in contact with any other external device, your system is at risk that virus and malware may infiltrate through it. So avoid it and also scan all the external devices and drives. Now we'll be learning about the main menu of Quick Heal Total Security window. At first, settings. This feature allows us to apply various protection rules such as receiving updates from Quick Heal as and when released, and password protection for our setting. Okay, that means it allows us to set the rules for generated reports. Next one is tools. Here, by using this feature, we can carry out various activities such as cleaning and restoring our system to its original setting, preventing access to certain drives. Okay, also we can have the reports from it such as virus scan, updates, change in settings and so on. And one of the important feature is help. This help features access the help topics, helps us to access the help topics whenever you want to know how to use and configure the Quick Heal Total Security feature. Okay, any other options are scan. The scan options are available to scan everything that scan our system based on the requirements. News, Quick Heal, PC Tuner. Okay, so all these are the basic things about this Quick Heal Total Security antivirus. Okay, so update your antivirus regularly basis to maintain the protection against the virus. Next one, we will be learning about how to prepare a maintenance schedule. How to prepare a maintenance schedule. So the maintenance of computer system is often overlooked. It may result in damaging the equipment and can also become the cause of an accident. So you should plan a maintenance schedule on a daily, weekly, monthly or yearly basis to prevent such damage. So at first we will be learning about disk defragmentation and optimization. So when we save file on our computer, it may not be saved in a contiguous location in the actual memory space. This leads to creating empty fragments on the disk. These fragments cause the computer system to slow down when we want to open the file again. To avoid this, we should run disk defragmenter utility program on a regular basis. To start defragmentation, you have to just click the start button and we have to go for the Windows administrative tools. We have to go for this. Here it is, the Windows administrative tools. Click on the down arrow here, then click defragment and optimize drives. So click defragment and optimize drives. So if you click on this, you can see optimize drivers program window opens as shown here. Now select the desired partition of your hard disks. Here all the hard disks are available. Suppose I am selecting D. Now if you want to analyze it to find if the drive needs to be optimized, then click on the analyze. Click on optimize here to help your computer run more efficiently. Okay, you can also plan a schedule to optimize the disks. To schedule it, you have to click on the change setting button here. If you click on change setting button, the optimization schedule window opens. Here it is. You can see it is the optimization schedule window. Here click on the checkbox adjacent to the run on schedule recommended option, then select the options for frequently at which you want to run the optimize drives program. We can select daily, weekly or monthly. Here all the options are available. Next click on the choose button. Here it is, in the drives option to select the disks that you want to optimize. Here you can also select all the partitions. To if you click on the checkbox here, select all, otherwise you can choose yourself the desired locations of the drives. Okay, and then click on OK and then close. Click on OK and then click on close to save optimize drives option. Your computer will start the optimization process based on the schedule. Okay, and you must ensure that power of your computer is on at that time. Okay, got it? Now we'll learn how to remove temporary files. Sometimes our computer may be very slow and you might be getting disk errors. It can happen due to temporary internet files that need to be deleted from our computer regularly. So if you want to delete temporary files, then you can go for the this PC, click on it, you will have this PC icon, this PC window will open. Here you will get a list of drives you will get a list of drives installed on your computer. Then right click on local C, disk C, a shortcut menu having various options appears. Select the properties option from the menu. The properties window will open as shown here. Click on the disk cleanup option. Here it is the disk cleanup option. Click on the disk cleanup button here. Then it opens disk cleanup for it takes time. So if you click disk cleanup button, disk cleanup for C window opens as shown here. So click on the checkbox corresponding to the files that you want to clear here, like download program files, temporary internet files. Okay, then click on OK. You will get a message for confirmation for deletion of files. Here you can click on the delete files button to delete this file permanently. All the temporary files from your computer then will be deleted. Okay, so we can use this process, or we can use the alternate method, that is we have to go for the search text box on the taskbar here. and then write percentage temp, then again percentage. Okay, then press the enter key. Okay, then you can see this is the temp folder containing temporary files and folders here. So if you want to delete all these files or folders, then select all the files or folders by pressing Ctrl A here, and then press the delete key on your keyboard, or right click here and click on delete. Okay, so all the files will be deleted after doing this process. Okay, so by doing this process also we can do this. Okay, we'll be learning about how to remove spam from an email account. So already we have opened our email account. Okay, so actually spam refers to the unwanted emails that you get from unwanted or unknown senders. These emails are sent for the purpose of advertisement, spreading malware, phishing, and often having inappropriate content. So if you open a spam mail, there is a chance that a virus may attack your system or personal details may be at risk. To protect the user, almost all the email clients provide the filter feature to prevent spam messages from being delivered into your inbox. Okay, so at first you have to create the filter. You can create filters in your Gmail account to move the suspicious emails to the spam folders directly. Okay, so to do it, open the Gmail account already you have opened. If you don't have it, then create one. Then in the search mailbox, here it is the search mailbox at the top of the window, click on the down arrow. Here it is, you can use this. A pop-up box will appear as shown here. Enter the criteria based on which you want to create a filter. Here it is the from, to, subject, has the word, does not have, all the parameters are there. Fill it, then click on the create filter option. Here it is the create filter option. So if you click on this, another pop-up box will appear displaying various options. Then you have to select the appropriate or applicable options, and then you have to click on the create filter button. Okay, now we'll be creating a filter for a particular email account. So at first open your Gmail account, then click on the checkbox. Suppose I want this, so click on the checkbox next to the email for which we want to create a filter. Then click on more icon. Here it is the more icon given above. If you click on this, a pop-up menu appears as shown here. So click here the option filter message like this. Then a pop-up box will appear where we can enter the filter criteria here. Then select the applicable options. All these applicable options here you have to fill, and then you have to click on create filter button. Okay, so by doing this you can filter a particular email account. Okay, next we will learn how to delete spam. To delete spam message from your email account, just open Gmail account first, then click on more option on the left side pane here, more option. Here it is the more option, and then select spam from the drop down list of folders. If you click on this, you will have this folder. Okay, so here there is nothing here, in does not has any message. If you are having, suppose in the spam I have to go for inbox. If I want to move to spam, already to show you how it works. Now if you click on spam here, you will have this message. You can also move your message to the spam folder. Here it is. Now click, select all the message, otherwise click here delete forever, or click on delete all spam messages now. link given on the top as shown. If you click on this, a dialog box asking for the confirmation appears. Then click on the OK. If you click on the OK, all the spam message from your email account will be deleted. Okay, so I think everything is very clear to you. So learn it properly and do it properly. Okay, thank you.